O Mother Nui, stretch high above this valley. Your starry body is our glory. Then see the hawk of yonder Rahur quit, his fiery splendor, oh so mighty. He brings a light for all our weary souls. He makes the broken spirit whole.
Welcome to this deep dive. You know, when you walk into a traditional cathedral, the architecture tells you exactly who you are. You look up at those massive vaulted ceilings, the distant altar, and you just instinctively feel, well, small.
Right. The space is literally engineered to inspire awe, but also, submission. The entire liturgy just reinforces that hierarchy, establishing this vast distance between humanity and the sacred.
Yeah, exactly. You are the flock, and the divine is far above you. But imagine someone taking that exact same architectural blueprint, like the incense, the altar, the robes, and just completely reverse engineering it.
Instead of making you feel small, the whole machinery of the room is designed to convince you that you are divine.
Yes, and that is our mission today. We were examining a fascinating analytical document on Liber XV, which is Aleister Crowley's Gnostic Mass. We are exploring how this 1913 liturgical rite attempts something incredibly ambitious.
Right. It's attempting to satisfy humanity's deep religious instinct without insulting its intellectual maturity. And to really grasp the mechanics of this ritual, we have to look at the rebellion driving it. Crowley wrote this while traveling through Moscow, so he drew heavily on the physical structure of the Liturgy of St. Basil and the Roman Catholic Mass.
Okay, let's unpack this. It is like taking the hardware of a Russian Orthodox Mass, but swapping the operating system from guilt and submission to, radical self-actualization.
That is a great analogy. The ritual systematically strips away traditional Christian dogma to achieve that. It explicitly rejects the concept of original sin, actually calling it a priestly bogey.
Wait, a priestly bogey? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in its place, it installs the law of Thelema, which is, do what thou wilt. The foundational belief here is a radically egalitarian divinity, summed up in the phrase, every man and every woman is a star.
So it essentially replaces a distant, punishing deity with the joyful, individual pursuit of your true will. It acts as an exorcism of dogmatic constraints.
Exactly, celebrating human potential instead.
But if the operating system is self-actualization, how does the physical architecture actually support that? Because, in a Catholic church, the linear aisles draw your eyes forward to submit to the priest.
Well, here, the temple's sacred geometry relies heavily on equilateral triangles. Those triangles deliberately emphasize equality and dynamic interaction between multiple points, rather than a top-down hierarchy.
Oh, interesting.
And on top of that, the high altar is placed in the east, but it doesn't point to Jerusalem. It faces Boleskine House in Scotland.
Wait, Scotland? Really?
Yeah, Boleskine was Crowley's own estate. So pointing the altar there functions a lot like Mecca does in Islam. It establishes an independent spiritual center, anchoring the ritual in the religion's own contemporary history.
Okay, and within that geometric space, the supreme authority is not a patriarchal priest. It is the priestess. She represents the divine feminine, wielding a sword to actively rend the veil of illusion.
Right, while the priest represents active creation and wields a lance to symbolize focused will.
Wait, I am a bit confused here. We just said this whole thing is about radical egalitarianism. Every man and every woman is a star. So why revert back to such a rigid, traditional male-female, active-passive binary on the altar? Doesn't that contradict the highly individualistic premise?
It is a totally fair question, and the text addresses this apparent contradiction. It explains that the polarity is merely a theatrical catalyst. The ultimate goal of the Mass is actually non-dual.
Oh, so it is just like an archetypal performance.
Exactly. The gender drama playing out on the altar is designed to help the individual congregant interiorize and synthesize both of those cosmic forces, the separating sword and the unifying lance, within themselves.
And that internal synthesis becomes incredibly literal during the climax of the ritual, right? The Eucharist?
Yes, the mystic marriage. This occurs when the priest places a particle of the host into the cup of wine, climaxing with the spoken word, H-A-U.
H-A-U, what does that mean exactly?
It is a specific Gnostic term representing the shrill orgasmic cry of the dove. It symbolizes ultimate spiritual union and the ecstasy of that internal synthesis.
Okay, here is where it gets really interesting. That host, which is called a cake of light, contains meal, honey, wine lees, oil, and something called ingredient X,
Right.
which is often the burned ash of bodily fluids like blood or semen. Now, obviously that is shocking to modern sensibilities, but is this simply the ultimate literal grounding of the divine into human biology?
That is exactly it. The recipe specifically bridges the gap between the microcosm, which is man, and the macrocosm, the divine. The meal, honey, and oil represent earthly sustenance and sweetness.
While the ash provides the subtle principle of animal life, right?
Yes, and by reducing the fluids to ash, the ritual avoids health risks while maintaining a potent, literal link between the worshipper's physical body and the divine spark.
It just completely collapses the distance between heaven and earth. Why you should care about this is that the Gnostic Mass really serves as a masterclass in how architecture, choreography, and script can be engineered to empower rather than subjugate.
By the time a participant leaves, the design intent is for them to feel that, quote, there is no part of me that is not of the gods. It proves rituals are not just empty traditions. They are sophisticated technologies for shaping human consciousness.
So think about your own routines. If formal, meticulously designed rituals can so powerfully shape a person's spiritual reality and make them feel divine, what kind of mundane, personalized liturgy are you unconsciously performing every morning?
That is a great point to mull over.
When you look in the mirror or check your phone or commute to work, what hidden beliefs are your daily architectural habits reinforcing about your place in the universe?